In 2008, The World Ends With You came out stateside for the Nintendo DS. It's one of those games that's either underrated or overrated, depending on who you talk to. Games that reached cult status, but were never given their proper due. The World Ends With You could have been a franchise. A sequel was even teased in 2009. But nothing ever materialized. It's been ported since then, but fans still feel like it was neglected. If you're considering picking it up now that it's on the Nintendo Switch, and you're curious about why it struck such a chord with players, here's what you need to know. The World Ends With You is a JRPG about a reclusive teen named Neku, who is very much dead. He's forced to team up with partners to battle creatures known as the Noise in something called the Reaper's Game. Whoever survives the week could be brought back to life. In 2008, The World Ends With You stood out because of its contemporary setting and its core message. Neku missed out on his whole life because he was too afraid to get close to people. Over the course of the game, he learns to open up and be vulnerable. The World Ends With You paired its sad teen story with a real-world setting that clicked, the ultra-fashionable Tokyo district of Shibuya. It's a virtual tour of Shibuya. The characters battle the Noise in the famous Scramble Crossing and at Hachiko's statue. They go shopping and they flaunt fashionable clothes that give combat buffs. The setting kept it grounded and real, like a JRPG version of Jet Set Radio mixed with Okami's drawing gameplay. And it hit the same core audience as the Persona and the Kingdom Hearts games. That is to say, anime-loving kids who are all up in their feelings. But The World Ends With You feels like a much more intimate story. It doesn't carry the legacy of a series like Persona, and it doesn't have the world-destroying stakes of Kingdom Hearts. Or at least it didn't until Neku and his friends ended up in Kingdom Hearts a few years later. Nope, despite the name, The World Ends With You isn't about the world ending. It's about how one reclusive teen's world begins and ends with him, and how difficult but worthwhile it is to let other people in. The World Ends With You also stood out because its controls were just bizarre. On the DS, it was essentially a solo co-op game. You controlled both characters in tandem, and you built up strength by passing a puck between the screens. It was the video game equivalent of patting your head and rubbing your stomach, which I'm very good at. The gameplay served as a big underline to the themes of the story. It was about synchronicity, and about getting Neku to cooperate with others. It didn't just tell you the themes, it made you feel them. With the new Switch version, you can either play it with motion controls or touchscreen only. That's a difference that doesn't necessarily sit well with fans. The original game was made to take advantage of the dual screens of the DS, but now that experience is fundamentally changed. That just makes the original game more legendary. No matter how many times it's re-released, even if it's on the most ubiquitous device on the planet, or one of the most popular consoles, the DS version is always going to be untouchable. But if you're new to the game, the Switch version is a fine runner-up.